My name is Steve Day, and I am President of National Agency Operations for the Fidelity National Financial family of companies. Welcome to our kickoff for 2022. I'm excited to be able to join you once again by video and hope to be able to share some interesting and exciting things that we have going and also touch on a couple of important topics. So first, let's talk about 2021. My God, what a year. When we had our Facebook Live program back at the end of 2020, I had my cloudy crystal ball as far as projection and thought that things would just continue on at what was a strong pace through the second half of 2020, but never experiencing a market like we saw in 2021. The resales continued to be active throughout the year, but refis just exploded. MBA is reporting that is the third highest ever year with regard to refis, and just amazing. And then the second half of the year, the commercial market started to kick back. So it is just phenomenal as to where that market was. And I'm sure so many of you had to take a deep breath coming into January, because I've talked to many agents about trying to deal with all of the timing and pressure that was going on. So in kicking off this video, what I'd like to do first is what I always love to do in starting and ending a video is to thank you. Thank you for your partnership with us and giving us the opportunity to earn your business. But most importantly, thank you and congratulations for what you accomplished in 2021. I've often mentioned that it's clear that the real estate market drives the economy of this nation, and our agents play such an important role on that continuing forward. So after a chaotic 2020, with the start of COVID and the like, and we thought we'd get a little bit of a break, here we were again on our roller coaster ride. We thought we were coming out of it with vaccines and moving forward to more normality, and in came Delta. We started to deal with Delta and getting a little bit more comfort level with boosters and the like, and in came Omicron. And we're still struggling as far as to get people back in the office or even to work remotely because of feelings of illness and the like. So what you've accomplished is really something special. So you need to be congratulated by us. And I know my entire agency team joins me in congratulating you on what was accomplished in 2021 and really what we're still dealing with at the beginning here of 2022. And I would be remiss if I didn't also congratulate our amazing Fidelity National Financial Agency team. They had to deal with the same challenges that you were dealing with. How do we work and provide that same level of consultative services for our agencies without being able to travel as effectively as we have in the past, without having that personal contact? And even though it was a challenge, we not only met, but exceeded that through all of the programs that we rolled out in 2021 to help you to be, for us to be your strategic partner in the growth of your agency. So for all those members of my team that are watching it, I am so proud to be part of this team and for all of your hard work and dedication in going forward. So thank you also for getting us through 2021 and the challenges that's starting here in 2022. So what about 2022? As I mentioned, going into 2021, I had my cloudy crystal ball and I was badly wrong as to what I was going to see. So I think I may defer on that point to the experts. There are many out there. We have some within our company as to going into detailed information as to where the market will be. But there's some generalities that I can share with you, certainly coming from the Mortgage Bankers Association. Their projections right now and looking at 2022 is that resales will actually continue to grow. It's going to move up about $100 million to about 1.6 trillion for the year, which is very positive. Looking this morning on some of the reports that came out, it looks that a number of people are already active in the market because of fears of rising interest rates. Well, that rising interest rates has unfortunately, the opposite effect concerning that phenomenal refi market, which we went through. It's projected right now that 2021 was likely $2.3 trillion in refi activity. Unfortunately, MBA is projecting just under 900 million for 2022. So depending on where your agency is and where the focus is, maybe a great time for residential, but maybe a little bit challenging for refis. And then commercial, which really exploded towards the end of 2020. And we saw internally with the company, the strongest December we've ever had. It looks like there's a number of orders rolling into 2022. So if you have that as a component of your agency, probably some positive things there with regard to the marketplace. So although I don't feel comfortable about giving guidance concerning where the marketplace may be going, there are two items that I'd like to share with you that I think are critical items for our agents to be focused on in 2022. One is a carryover from my conversation again in Facebook Live talking about 2021, and another is a new and very important item. The carryover is, just to use one word, digital. I continue to highlight this as an important thing for our agents to focus in on. And I want to be clear, when I'm discussing digital, often it's talking about either the production side of digital AI and increases with regard to production capabilities, or on the other side, RON, remote online notarization, as being a key factor. And both of those are important. And we at Fidelity are working with you to be there on these constant trends and moving forward. But when I talk digital, I'm talking much more broadly. I'm talking about the desires of our real estate partners, our lenders, our realtors, to have clear connectivity with us and have the availability to do a lot of transactions digitally. But even more importantly, I'm talking about the consumer. We're finding more and more that the consumer is playing a key role in the selection process with regard to real estate transactions. And even most importantly, they're going to judge us by how well we interact with them, with what their expectations are concerning that process. Why is this the case? Well, I think a lot of it, if you go back pre-COVID, and we talked about remote online notarization, and we talked about all the abilities to connect digitally, there wasn't a lot of activity on the consumer side because there wasn't a lot of comfort level with regard to what's going on in that interaction. There was still a lot of personal connections that were desired. But through COVID, a lot of that has changed. From a technical side, and as I've mentioned before, and you all know from your own experiences, as a result of needing to work by demand remotely, and now many of our employees still working remotely, there was a need to upgrade computer equipment at home, to upgrade Wi-Fi's, to actually have a desk, not be working from your kitchen table for getting things performed. So the consumers became more comfortable with that. In fact, riding in this morning, I heard a report from Dell that said, the standard used to be one computer or laptop per household, and now it is evolving to a trend of one computer or laptop per individual in the household, much in the way of cell phones. So you can see that growth pattern being so important. The other thing is that although we were dealing with Facebook, FaceTime and Skype prior to COVID, we became much more comfortable with Teams and Zoom. Prior to COVID, I didn't even know what either one was. But now we're utilizing it not only for work, but also for doctor's visits, for school conferences, for social gatherings. I think during the height of COVID, I probably drank more wine during these virtual happy hours than I would have had I gone out. And that's another story for another time. And I think you'll see that more and more documentation is being provided electronically, and the consumer is getting very comfortable with regard to execution within a DocuSign and digital process. And that's going to become more and more prevalent as remote online notarization gets adopted in so many more states. We're up to 39 at this point. And so looking for a national standard to help to even improve that more. So we have a lot of motivation pushing in that regard. But then as I mentioned, from the connectivity side, both from our real estate partners and the consumer, this is what's going to drive it. They're ready to go forward. There was an article again this morning about how lenders are moving rapidly to digitization and wanting to utilize them for the value that they gain. Chuck Kane, who works with us, has talked about, a digital process can save lenders $3,000 to $5,000 per transaction with regard to overall cost if they can move it along digitally. So there's going to be the pressure from our real estate partners, both on the realtor, attorney, and lender side to have that connectivity. But it'll also be there from the consumer. And mainly because consumer demands are being influenced and impacted by the overall marketplace, and they want to have that level of connectivity that they have in the rest of their world in their real estate transaction. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the consumer who doesn't want to send an email and wait for a day or two for a response. They want to text to somebody and they want the response back quickly. Maybe even more importantly, they want to be able to go online and be able to see the status of their transaction in real time and have a chat box pop up to allow them to ask questions concerning where the status is. When we talk about digital documents and the comfort with that, they want to have the documents presented, but presented in a way that possibly there are pop-up bubbles as you click on different sections that give them information as to what is going on with that section, so they don't need to go back and with the chat box to go forward. And they want to be able to do it at their time and possibly even be able to execute some of the less critical documents to save time on the closing. And even more important, they want it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it is something that we need to think about, focus in on, because we see it. How is it happening? I was listening to a presentation by another speaker yesterday, and he used the same term that I have several times. It's the Amazon effect. As I've shared with many of you before, prior to COVID, the only reason I knew about Amazon Prime is because I needed to have it to watch The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon Video. But after getting a comfort level of the ease of ordering, the ease of tracking, the ease of and speed of delivery, and the ease of return, that is what I demand in all of my interactions, especially those that I do digitally. And so I don't want to be delayed, and our consumer doesn't want to be delayed. The speaker who I was talking about was sharing that same point in talking to people within our industry about the digital transformation, and had a great term which he used. He says, we need to be relationship driven and tech enabled. And I think that's important when we talk about this whole process of digital, is that I'm not talking about digital replacing what we do. We are a service industry. It is still critical that we operate as a service industry. That is the value we bring as real estate professionals, is guiding our customers through this process. So it still has to be relationship driven, but it needs to be tech enabled. And I think if we have that context in our mind, it's really important and it'll help drive us through. So we'll talk more about this later, but one of the great starting points is our new digital hub. You have that available not only to yourselves, but to your customers in navigating all of the opportunities out there and all of the changes in the digital format that's there. And of course, our lead environment as far as guiding you as to the resources, and our preferred vendors program as far as being able to go forward. When we talk about DocuSign, they're going to be coming on as preferred vendor and offering a percentage discount to agents of the FNF family of companies. So more on that coming out shortly from Rick Diamond. Now, unfortunately, my second point is a much more serious one, and it's one I think I really need to stress strongly in talking with you as our agents, and it's cybersecurity and wire fraud. We've touched on this point so many times, but I think it's one of those topics that just has to be hammered in constantly. I think all of you have seen that we've kicked off the year as far as cybersecurity and seeing counties in New Mexico that are shut down based on ransomware. And it's not unique. It's happened all out through 20 and 2021, and it's just become prevalent. If you've seen, again, recent reports, finally Congress is getting involved with that, but there are a lot of reports that this is just going to continue to escalate. And the only way we can control this is to make sure, certainly I think we've all gotten better as far as our equipment and firewalls and backups and the like, but it's still the human component to the entire thing, especially with so many employees in a remote environment. If they're utilizing that laptop you sent them home with for their personal emails, as well as access into your systems, and they click on that Kohl's gift card for $25, they could be giving the ransomware participant access to your systems. So you've got to continue to be pushing on this as a factor and stressing it each and every day, if not weekly or monthly, to know that this is a critical item to protect your operations. But I think even more importantly is the question of wire fraud. I really thought a year or 18 months ago, we were starting to get a clear handle on this. We were really having a lot of education, a lot of focus on it, but it's amazing the transition of it all. We don't have, I think, as few as 3 or 4 years ago, we had presentations on intrusions into our systems and set up for wire frauds where the red flags were misspelling, misuse of phraseology, reversing the day and date time to give some indication, really bad cut and paste with regard to the heading that was presented on it. But it's just not the case anymore. These criminals have really, really, really become sophisticated. They get into our systems and they're no longer looking to hit immediately. They're monitoring the email trafficking. They're just sitting in waiting to see where is the most vulnerable point that we can get in. And we have to be cautious of every participant in the transaction as to be able to who can be spoofed, who can be hacked, who could send that information to us and put us going down a bad track relative to that. You know, the cut and paste are no longer there. The spoofing of the emails are great. The ability even to have return phone calls that go to a faked number to be able to lure somebody in. It's something that's just so critical that we have to focus in on, because just one of these intrusions, they're looking for the big sums. It's no longer the initial seller's funds going in for $10,000 or $20,000. It's mortgage payoffs in the hundreds of thousands of dollars that are going out. And just think of 1 or 2 or 3 of those hit you in succession, what the impact can be in your market on your agency. So although there's a lot we can do to help minimize the risk, the most important things is have a concerted effort to train, institute solid procedures, and audit the process to ensure compliance. I can't stress that enough. You've got to, have the training, and we can assist with that. We have several segments on what is important training, but then you have to look for compliance by your employees and going forward in meeting those standards, and also auditing for the impact. Something just as simple that it'll take a little bit of time, but having a secondary verification to a trusted phone number on each and every transfer of funds, be it payoffs, seller proceeds, initial deposits, any of that, it may be worth a weight in gold to hire a second employee that's all they do is secondary verification. But the procedures and the process in place are just as important. And let me share a story that I shared with people in NS3 when I talked on this topic. My wife and I were purchasing a condo in Jacksonville about 4 years ago, and I needed to send my buyer's deposit to the seller's realtor to hold in escrow for the closing. So I asked my realtor to have the wire transfer information sent to me, which it was from the seller's realtor's firm. Looked very good. It's from the person I was dealing with. And I received it, but I was smart. I said, I need to verify these wire instructions. So I had the wire instructions, saw the phone number, called the phone number, talked to Barry. Barry said, yes, this is so-and-so Realty. These are our wire instructions. Really good of you to double check that. And I said, great. Got off the phone, ready to call my bank. And I said, wait a minute. If I had a bad wire instructions, I just called a bad number. And Barry could be sitting somewhere in Idaho that I just sent and confirmed my information. So I looked up a trusted number online to the real estate office that I wanted to call the receptionist I know. I said, okay, this may sound stupid, but I'm Steve Day. And I just talked to someone named Barry. Do you have a Barry? And if so, can I speak to him again? And I confirmed the information for a second time. Now that may sound silly, but we actually had an agent who was spoofed exactly that way, with a fraudulent wire transfer information with a bad phone number. So even though the procedure to call a quote unquote number to verify, it needed to be a trusted number because it wasn't a good one. So if I can ask one thing of you and your agency for 2022, make a resolution that cybersecurity and wire fraud is going to be a key component of where your focus is. So with all of that, how can you lean on FNF to get through all of this and to move forward, not only on the challenges, but the opportunities that are there in 2022? Well, let me take a few moments to talk about some of our current initiatives that we continue to expand upon and grow, and what value is there to you as our agents concerning them. The first is, hopefully you have seen, I believe it was early in 2021, about late 2020, the rollout of our new national agent website. New format, new ability for access, the ability to navigate through and move forward. Well, there was concerted effort by Linda Grahovic and others within the company to move a consistency throughout the country within our agency network in the same level of quality of website. So as you go into each of your local operations, you now see your state websites, you see that same format, the same identity. So you have a comfort in navigating through, have that same level of access. We think it's a huge improvement relative to your being able to interact with us, to get to the areas where you need to operate effectively, and for us to be able to communicate with you effectively. Similarly, with regard to agent tracks, Tara Asquith continues to look on what is important to you as an agent as to getting into our systems to be able to interconnect with your software provider. We have the greatest number of connectivity with the software providers around production software providers around the country, and continue to look for enhancements once you're in our system to, again, allow you to navigate effectively from one area to the other. One of the areas we're really excited about is Tidal Wave. As you know, Tidal Wave is our production system, and we're presently in 28 states across the country in providing a production alternative to our agents to allow you to effectively have a variable cost as opposed to a fixed cost in your production, and put the responsibility and the liability relative to the product produced to FNF as opposed to an outside vendor. So if the Tidal Wave product is available in your area, I would ask that you please look to reach out to your agency consultant and talk about how that could be of value to you. I mentioned earlier our digital closing hub, and also all of the information available on Lead. In a minute, we'll talk a little bit more about all of the offerings within Lead. But the digital closing hub gives us the opportunity to keep you active and informed of what's going on the digital side. And we talked about some of the challenges that are there relative to the demands of the consumers. But I would say to you that it's also a huge opportunity. I think our agents who embrace what is going on and keep informed through such things as our digital closing hub are going to be the ones that lead in the marketplace and continue to get those referral owners, because the consumer and their realtors and attorneys and lenders all appreciate the dedication you've presented in making the process easier for them. And the last one I'm going to talk about is one I'm really excited about, and was kicked off again early in 2021, if not late 2020, was FNF Unplugged. And it is a product of Chuck Kane, who came over, and Linda Grahovic jointly hosting back and forth a podcast based on the title industry. And if imitation is the greatest form of compliment, many others have now come in, but the FNF Unplugged is still the leader within the industry. And if you go on, you're going to find a wide range of content. Everything from our new CEO, Mike Nolan, Erica Meinhardt, who many of you know, talking about women in leadership, bringing in others from throughout the industry, and also a lot of our agents talking about ways that they have been adaptive and innovative in being able to service their customers. So please, anywhere you go for podcasts, Spotify, Apple, we're there. Check it out. We are leading the industry with regard to people dialing in. We even have them overseas and in India checking us out. So please check out FNF Unplugged. So I think the most significant focus that we've had as far as our growth is on our educational offerings. And I could give you a broad overview. I keep in touch on what's happening, but I really think it is so important as to the quality of the content that we are providing that I wanted to get a little bit more detail. So at this time, I'm going to transfer over and call upon Linda Grahovic, Senior Vice President and FNF Director of Education and Marketing Strategy for National Agency, to talk about all of these initiatives. Linda, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, these are exciting additions to our agent success tools. So FNF Academy. FNF Academy is not a single resource, but an umbrella describing all our forms and methods of education and the presenting of educational opportunities. FNF Academy includes the people. Whether a speaker is needed for an event, large or small, we have FNF Academy faculty ready for you. Maybe you need an expert for your local LTA conference or local convention. Maybe there's an opportunity to share information to a national organization like ALTA, October Research, ResPro. We provide FNF Academy subject matter experts to bring real-time value-add information to organizations, whether national, regional, or local. Maybe you need an expert for a local webinar or just presentation materials for a group of your customers. Well, your local agency team is there to help. FNF Academy also includes courses. We have virtual and on-demand learning opportunities. Education on your time, not ours. And as Steve had mentioned, our office landscape has changed, and so has your office schedule. So we have changed what we offer by way of education as well. Much more available 24/7, 365. We have education accessible on our lead.fnf.com platform with tests and handouts and job aids. We can customize training to meet the needs of your local, regional, or national agency. And this is not just a handful of courses, not just 6 or 12, but hundreds to choose from in a dozen different categories. How about using LEAD as an essential part of your agency's training department, or maybe just supplementing it? How about using LEAD as a recruiting tool to attract new talent, or maybe the reskilling of some of your existing talent within your company? And when specialized training is needed or high-level consultation, we have approved FNF Academy faculty and subject matter experts as well. The title journey. We rolled that out last year. It's our latest series added to the LEAD platform. 12 different sections, 6 different hours of video, case studies, and hands-on learning. It is great for onboarding new employees, great for cross-training any of your staff, and that includes your IT staff, your administrators, your schedulers. We believe in this education so much we are using it internally for our own new staff members. Elizabeth Berg was a big part of the title journey, and we are also working on several other educational projects. So some new things on the horizon for lead.fnf.com. Learning, training again on your time, not ours. So continuous review of materials, courses, webinars. Out with the old, in with the new, right? We make sure that the content is up to date and relevant for your business. So many courses to choose from across several different geographical venues. And I am confident when I say that there's no better training available in our industry. Also coming soon, National Agency will have the ability to run virtual events with engaging breakouts and live keynote speakers. We are currently outlining the FNF National Agency Escrow Training. This will not just be a journey, but comprehensive training. It will be in video-based with case studies and video how-tos. We will start with the laws and continue to the entire escrow process, which is very exciting. And as many of you know, I have an escrow background, so this is definitely going to be a fun project to bring you all. Another great new thing coming very soon, literally in just months, is the FNF National U-Guide. With the title journey, we provided an overview and introduction to the title side of our business. The next step in this title side learning is diving into much deeper detail in those sections. This will be in our new National U-Guide platform, which will be accessible through our national agency website. There will be 30 underwriting topics, over 200 subtopics, and all in a searchable online database. It will include instructional videos, educational one-pagers, and tons of reference links inside and out of the industry. Rollout will begin in May. Yes, May. So watch your inbox, watch our ads, and definitely watch for our social media announcements. Okay, consumer education. To me, education and marketing go hand in hand. We've talked about educating and marketing directly to the consumer, but many have been hesitant to do it. So we have started an initiative to help educate the consumer through our own marketing efforts. We also want to help our agents to effectively communicate your value to customers and consumers. And this includes the value of title insurance, the value of our products, the value of our services, and of course, the value of your people, because we are still in a relationship business. The more we can educate the consumer early in the home buying or home selling cycle, the better the consumer will understand that process. They'll know what to expect at their closing and the importance of our products and services and our people. Because as you well know, the closing table is not the time or place to try to get the buyer's or seller's attention, right? So how do we get started? How do you add this to your digital marketing plan for both customers and consumers? How can you strategically use the internet and social media in this effort? How can you utilize free tools and resources to market directly to the consumer? How do you add direct consumer communications into your agency marketing plan? Where does it fit in? And how can you utilize the FNF Academy and all of the FNF resources to lean on and to help build and communicate your story? We want to help and guide you in this endeavor because there will be much more process changes coming, right? And Steve touched on many of them. So we want your customers and your consumers to know and understand them as part of that story. Well, I hope you enjoyed hearing about our new initiatives and our success tools. And Steve, I thank you for letting me share these today.
Linda, thank you so much to you and your team for what you have focused on and developed. You know, we lead the industry as far as the ability to help educate and assist our agents in the growth of their agency. So thank you for everything. And of course, when we talk about all of these initiatives, we're not going to lose track of our basic blocking and tackling. We're still out there with our agency consultants, working with you in the growth of your agency and our underwriters and our staff support to give you the best service to you as our agents in the industry. So I hope you've enjoyed this little video presentation. I want to again thank you for your partnership with the FNF family of companies, and congratulations to surviving through a really chaotic 2021 and moving forward with that. Again, to all of my team members on the agency side, thank you for all of your support. And for all of our agents, know that we are here each and every day to be your strategic partner in the growth of your agency. We thank you for the opportunity to earn your business. Here's to an exceptional 2022.